And are you refreshed? Good. You're ready to continue?
Right. What we were was filling in the gap pretty much. From what I've taken right now is work on my connection versus look for somebody else to fill the gap for me, looking for somebody else to make me feel different. So my energy needs to be focused on work on my connection, my personal connection, work on it.
And another way of adding to that is by saying, I want the fullness of who I am out here participating.
In this relationship.
In everything, but in this discussion, in this relationship, yes. I want to see you as my source sees you. Because my source is able to see you in ways that are so satisfying. That's the way I want to see it.
See, I feel that she sees me that way. Like, she doesn't complain. She doesn't say, shave, don't wear that shirt, don't wear those shoes. And it's almost weird to me because I have so many things that I don't like and I complain, or you shouldn't do that, or we don't agree on this. And I'm always doing it, but I kind of want to be where she is somehow because she's really calm. Like, I know you better, that you can do better than you do right now, so do it. Or I know you're a great person, you have a good heart. It's always like, that's how she is, but I can't return that. And I think I can't because I don't feel what she feels, maybe. And
well, you can't give something that you are not. And so if you're in a mode of alignment, then everything that flows from you expresses that. But if you're not, you're not. And so, and it really is about figuring out what unconditional love is. Unconditional love is aligning with this source energy and then expressing it regardless of the condition. Conditional love is responding to the condition, and if it applies, then love, but if it doesn't apply, then don't love. And so let's play with this just a little bit. So give us an example of something that you see as a situation that comes up frequently enough that it's your excuse for not being who you are.
Okay, I have an 8-year-old daughter that is my daughter from my past relationship. My wife is no longer in physical form. She passed away. And I have an 8-year-old daughter from that relationship. So the relationship I'm in now with my girlfriend, I'm really protective of my daughter, and I don't put a whole lot of rules on her. I like, do what you want to do. Let's have fun. You don't want to eat that, don't eat that. And she's more traditional, thinking like, if we feed you this is what you're supposed to eat. And I think, well, if she doesn't want to eat that, why should we make her eat it? I don't eat what I don't want to eat. So, and I mean, I guess this might be a simple one, but this is some of the conflict that we have, because she feels like, well, the way I was raised, you eat whatever you're given. And I'm saying, well, the way I was raised has nothing to do with right now. It doesn't matter. She's my daughter, and she don't want to eat that. And we have conflict a lot when it comes to my daughter, because it's almost like I'm trying to protect and guard her from her. And I realize that she's not going to harm her, but I don't want her to beat her across the head with the traditional thinking in the old way, the way the people were raised.
Well, there are a number of things that we want to say to you here, and you'll hear and feel all of them. But the easiest thing to begin with, that you'll hear the most easily, is that just a little bit ago, when you were describing the differences between your behavior to your girlfriend and her behavior to you, was you presented her as being much more allowing, as sort of not making a problem with what you're wearing or with whether you shave or not, where you are nitpicking more about different things. And yet, in this first thing that we ask you about, you're seeing her more in the way that you described yourself earlier, and you're describing yourself more as you were describing her. In other words, isn't it interesting? So what it comes down to is there's no real basis from which either one of you are operating. You're sort of just responding to different conditions, and different hot buttons are hitting you in different ways, which is just about the way all of society is trying to figure out relationships. In other words, almost nobody has this basis from which they are creating their life. And once you find it, you're going to find a stability in it that's really going to serve you. We also want to say to you that there's something much deeper going on than just you not liking this girlfriend telling your daughter that she needs to eat, because it's way more about other things than that. And we could spend the rest of the seminar just sort of unraveling some of those things that it is about, but there's a much easier way of going about it. In other words, you want, because of the way you feel about, now this is a really interesting thing. You know how you sit down and you've identified that you're not really feeling the depth of love for this girlfriend that you really want to, but you would not say that about your daughter, would you?
Not at all.
There's a depth of love there that just comes naturally.
Then that's what I want. I want it. I don't think I should have to force it. In the time in the past where I've been in love, it hit me. I didn't ask for it. It hit me, and I was like, wow. And I was fascinated, and I was into it, but it never lasts very long.
But what we want, well, that's the way it is for most people, because most of you, when you're falling in love, these are the elements that make that falling in love possible and probable. You're both looking for positive aspects in the other. So you're using each other as your excuse to connect with the source within you. So now it's two people tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the source energy and holding each other as their object of attention. And it feels really, really good. That's what you're reaching for again. But then in most relationships, the reason that it doesn't last very long is because as the newness wears off and you play that let's get to know each other game, and you start noticing one another's flaws or the things about one another that you don't like quite so much, then instead of looking for the reasons that connect you with source, that allow you to be all that you are out here on the leading edge having this moment, instead you are finding things that disconnect you from that. And now you're two people, or at least one person, but usually two, you usually match each other pretty well, who are having this sort of relationship that doesn't have the basis of connection behind it. And so the reason that we pointed out the things that we're pointing out to you is, first, we want you to realize that it isn't about the situation, it isn't about the food, it isn't about the subject at hand. And also we're wanting you to realize that it isn't that you are incapable of it because you feel it so deeply with your daughter. In other words, but your daughter, you see, that what's happening is your daughter, through what you've practiced and through how it started and through all the time that you've focused upon her, she has been an object of attention that connects you with source. And that's what we meant earlier when you train each other. You expect people, you really demand from people, I want you to be an object of attention that connects me with source because I like to be connected with source. So you should be that. And with your children, it's often easier because you want it so much more. Although children can give parents a lot of grief, and parents can give children a lot of grief. It's not a sure thing. But we just wanted you to recognize that you have the capacity to do either one, and that it is something that you are doing. So now, I want to get back to the subject, the question. So let's take a situation, and you talked to us about it pretty clearly. You said, this is not the mother of my child, and she has a different way of approaching food than I do, and I don't think that it should be that way, and it doesn't really matter what I lived or what she lived as children, because here and now we're living in different times. And as you visited with us, we could all feel a lot of specifics that we're going into the conversation. In other words, you've thought about this a lot, and there's a lot of active vibration about it. And so for us to say to you, well, just get over that and don't let that be an issue that bothers you, is really asking something that is not probably going to happen, because there's a lot of activity in your vibration around it. So we want to take that subject and make it more general, for the express reason to see if you can feel a releasing of resistance about it, because that's all that's necessary. You see, if you accept the premise that what you're really reaching for is to be aligned with source, that when you say, I want to be in love with my girlfriend, that what you're really saying is, I want to have the fullness of all that I am present in my relationship with my girlfriend. If you can really acknowledge that really what you're reaching for is this emotional manifestation, And if we can show you that in a very short period of time you can achieve that emotional manifestation, then you're home free on every subject in the world. Then it's just fun to go there and do that and then watch what happens. Watch everything else fill in around it.